Glad you have. We have already learned that the signs starting from Aries are movable, fixed, and dual. And now the Jataka Parichata tells us that the movable, fixed, and dual signs are also Dhatu, Mula, and Jiva. Dhatu means minerals or inanimate objects. Mula means root or anything that has a root, which means the plant life. And Jiva means living beings, referring to animals and humans. So, as I said, we just go around the zodiac in the same order of the modalities. And so Aries is Dhatu, or the inanimate objects, Taurus is Mula, or plants, Gemini is Jiva, or living beings. And then we do the same for all the other signs. Again, Cancer is Dhatu, Leo is Mula, and Virgo is Jiva, and so on. And we use these distinctions in Prajna. So if a person comes in and says, I lost something, then you can use the Dhatu, Mula, and Jiva to find out what exactly they lost, right? Is it an inanimate object that they lost, right? Let's say their mobile phone. Is it something that has to do with plants? Perhaps, that could be food, some or another, right? They misplaced food somewhere, now they're worried that it is all going to just become moldy somewhere. Or perhaps, they lost a living being, maybe their pet is gone, right? So this lets you basically find out what someone is asking about or what they lost, and also where it might be found. So the basic idea is that these the Dhatu Rashis, they are concerned with things or inanimate objects, right? And people with lots of planets in Dhatu Rashis that are Aries, Cancer, Libra, and Capricorn, they may spend more time with inanimate objects. Right? People with lots of planets in these plant Rashis, Taurus, Leo, Scorpio, and Aquarius, they might spend more time with things that are that are plants or plant derivatives or somehow related to the plant kingdom. People who've got a lot of planets, especially, south factors, in the Jiva Rashis, Gemini, Virgo, Sagittarius, and Pisces, they may spend more time with people or animals. Astrologers who have more planets in the Jiva Rashis and, less planets in the Dhatu Rashis, they are actually going to spend more time with clients than they're going to spend, studying or doing research, right? When we study astrology, we basically, deal with planets, those big round rocks up in the sky, right? But if there are more Jiva Rashis, then the astrologer is more social, right? They want the direct interaction with their clients more, right? Astrologers who have got more things in Dhatu Rashis, they will just end up studying more or spending more time on their computer than actually with their clients, Perhaps the way they deal with their clients might be more on the paper or somehow distant and not doing those face-to-face consultations. So now let's talk a little bit more about the plant Rashis. The plant Rashis actually inspire people towards professions that deal with nourishment and healing, right? Because the biggest use of plants is that of nourishment and healing, right? And so people who are in professions where they nourish and heal others, they have significant planets in plant Rashis. Even the most modern allopathic, medicine is derived from plants, right? The chemicals in the medicine actually come from plants. Of course, the natural healing methods, they come directly from plants. Mula specifically actually means roots, and many times roots of plants, they have a special potency to heal. But medicine in general will fall in this category of, the Mula Rashis. And doctors and chemists, they usually have important planets in those Mula Rashis. Now, the Jiva Rashis are, of course, people. And nice planets in these Jiva Rashis, they increase our good luck with people, and we can enjoy and benefit from other people more Jiva also, of course, have to do with animals. And, if you have nice planets in those Jiva Rashis, then of course you can also really benefit and really enjoy animals and pets. But if the Jiva Rashis are afflicted, then that might explain why you have so much struggles and difficulties with your pets, or perhaps with the pets of your neighbors. Right? Saturn or Rahu in those Jiva Rashis, they can really make it hard to even get a pet. What to speak of being able to enjoy it. So now, what else can we say about those Mula Rashis? Well, Mula Rashis are plants, and if you grow plants at home and you really enjoy plants, and there's just something that has always been a part of your life that you really enjoy, having plants around, taking care of them, you probably have good planets in those Mula Rashis. Okay. But if you find that you always struggle with maintaining plants, they always die or they don't grow properly, then you might see that those Mula Rashis are afflicted. And if you need help from someone, then hopefully that person has got some good Mula Rashis. The same also, let's say you want to grow vegetables in your garden. Check if you actually have some good Mula Rashis, right? So that you can actually be successful there. Now, the Dhatu Rashis, they can represent many things, right? Let's say you want to get your car fixed, right? Then you gotta find someone who has got solid Dhatu Rashis, because they will be really good at dealing with concrete things, right? Or maybe you wonder why there's something in your life that just always breaks down, right? The Dhatu Rashis, they can literally deal with anything concrete. And good planets, they just allow you to deal with something concretely very well. And bad planets, they just cause a lot of problems with concrete things, right? If you have troubled planets in Dhatu Rashis, then maybe every time you buy yourself sort of a new device, right, then somehow or another it breaks very quickly. And that could well be because, the Dhatu Rashi is afflicted, and so you just have bad luck with those things. So now finally, I'd like to talk about a very interesting concept that is related to the Dhatu Mula and Jiva Rashis, and that is that of sort of the different stages of consciousness. Consciousness is in the Dhatus or in the elements and rocks, but then that consciousness evolves that consciousness evolves in the plant kingdom, okay? The plants have a little bit more consciousness. And then finally, in the jivas, or living beings, consciousness is the most evolved. So there is this progression of the Dhatu, Mula, and Jiva Rashis. And that does not mean, that a person needs to have a lot of Jiva signs to have a high level of consciousness. It just shows that there's a certain type of conscious activity. So let me explain this more. So let's say we are dealing with inanimate objects. It doesn't really matter what is going on in our consciousness, in order to handle those objects successfully, right? If your car breaks down and you bring it to the mechanic, it doesn't matter if the guy blasts like heavy metal music all day while he fixes your car, right? It won't affect how well the car gets fixed, right? You just go there, you pick it up the next day, you drive off, and that's it, right? So those Dhatu or inanimate Rashis, they're not affected by the environment. But let's say you're going to hire someone to live in your apartment while you're gone for a month, to take care of your plants, right? And that person is going to play heavy metal music all day. That's going to impact your plants, right? It's scientifically proven that plants grow better when the music you play is more harmonious and peaceful, right? Whatever music you play in your car, it's not going to impact your car, right? But it's going to have some impact on your plants. It's not going to be a huge impact, but it's still going to be a noticeable difference in the plant's growth and well-being, right? That you will see if you play classical music all day or heavy metal music. So it is those Mula plant Rashis that are more sensitive to the environment. Now the Jiva Rashis, or humans and animals, that are most sensitive. So if you, again, if you go on vacation, let's say for a month, and you need someone to take care of your dog, then you gotta make sure, that this person, doesn't get angry at their dog easily, or kicks the dog, when he barks too much, right? You want to have a kind and caring person, to take care of your dog. Otherwise, your pet, or what to speak of your child, if it's a babysitter, will be damaged for life, possibly, right? And so, so these Jiva Rashis, they're really the most sensitive to the environment. And we can really use this concept to see how we function actually in a certain environment, right? If a person has strong Dhatu signs in their horoscope, then they will not be affected by their environment, right? They're just like these rocks, right? Let's say a person has the sun in Aries, right? For them, it doesn't matter what's going on in the environment. Like, they can be in a crazy place and they can still focus, as if nothing happens around them, right? They can do whatever they need to do, no problem. When the sun is in a Mula Rashi, let's say Taurus, then a person needs to be somewhat careful about the energies that are around them, right? Because they are a little more sensitive to the environment. And when a person has the sun in a Jiva Rashi, let's say in Gemini, then they're the most sensitive to what's going on around them, right? And they need to find a place that really doesn't disturb them, right? If they want to study astrology, then they need to make sure that they're in the right environment to do so. The sun in Taurus person needs to be less concerned about the environment, and the sun in Aries person hardly cares about, where they study, at home, at school, in the bus, anywhere is just fine for them. So those signs, they don't determine a person's consciousness, but how much the environment supports what's in their consciousness and what they are trying to do, okay? So for Dhatus, who cares? Anywhere is good. For Mulas, they're sensitive, but they don't get distracted. They need to be a little attentive because they can function in extreme environments. But in a normal environment, they can focus well. For Jivas, the environment has to support them and what's in their consciousness, right? They're very alert to what's in the environment, and they easily get distracted. And another way that we can actually look at it is that the Dhatu signs, they are movable signs. And they focus on what they do and create, right? And all their energy goes into that creative action, and what goes on around them isn't just important for them. The Mula signs are the fixed signs, right? That maintain the status quo, and they are more aware of what's going on around them, but they are very capable of just, keeping their focus on their regular duties. The Jiva signs are the dual signs, and they're very alert to what goes on around them, because they need to make a decision between what they want to keep and what they want to let go of.